The integration picture. When we start working with customers, wherever they are in their cloud management journey, typically the story goes something along these lines. We want to automate processes for our environment. So maybe we adopt a cloud management platform, and as part of the process setting up that cloud management platform, we need to figure out how to name the resources that it's going to provision. And then we need to figure out how to integrate with our IPAM solution, maybe talk to DNS, then go out and talk with Active Directory, maybe Ansible Tower, figure out how we're going to take the resources and place them into ServiceNow or service management, and then figure out backup and recovery, network and security, all of these things that we see customers integrate during the life cycle of resource provisioning. This picture becomes somewhat more complex when you start to look at now, we're not just seeing traditional cloud management platforms inside of the landscape of customers' cloud management journeys, but we're also seeing the proliferation of infrastructure as code tools, things like Terraform. Maybe you're also leveraging a service catalog and ServiceNow or Remedy. Some of those things can also have some overlap there where maybe you want to provide naming as a service or IPAM as a service or DNS as a service all through your service catalog. So now what you have is multiple teams inside of the same organization that are using disparate tools, with different backing code bases. You know, your cloud management platforms are usually using like a Python or a JavaScript as a backend engine for orchestration and extensibility, but your Terraform's leveraging Golang on the back end, and ServiceNow leverages JavaScript. So these teams require different skill sets to do things for the organization. And what we're finding is the way that we're doing things for each of these integrations is not standardized across those different tools, which can cause some problems. And this is what I like to refer to as integration breadth. This is the breadth of the integrations required as we're building out our automation processes. What are the different systems you need to talk to? What do we need to integrate with during the provisioning process? The other dimension of this challenge, though, is not only what integrations can we communicate with, but what are the specific requirements for your organization underneath each of these integrations. So for naming, for example, maybe we need to validate that that name is unique inside of your environment. Maybe we need to make sure that auditing and visibility are there so that we can view the things that are named inside of our environment. We need to consider deprovisioning. How do we manage the life cycle of these resources? So on and so forth, down the list of different requirements that your organization may require when you're just very simply naming a resource. And this is what I refer to as integration depth. This is what are the requirements for your organization as it pertains to each of these different integrations that are important to your cloud management journey. And this is what it may look like across the entire spectrum. We're not going to dig into each of those. Traditionally, integration approaches with a CMP, a lot of times the CMP has some of these integrations available out of the box, and maybe they integrate with your IPAM and your DNS and Active Directory. But what we found with a lot of our customers is maybe those out of box integrations don't check all of the boxes for your requirements. So what we're finding is that they then start to go down the path of writing custom code, which can introduce complexities into the environment, increase technical debt for the organization. And again, we talked about this before, but across all of these different tools, that language on the back end is different between the different tools, and different skill sets are required to support the different solutions. If you're leveraging Terraform inside of your environment, there are 34 official Terraform providers as of a week or two ago. These change all the time, so maybe different even today, but 34 official providers that are provided from HashiCorp. These are HashiCorp supported providers. Then there are 121 verified providers. There are 872 community supported providers inside of the HashiCorp Terraform registry. If your requirements are not met by any of those providers, you then need to step into Golang and write your own custom integrations. So again, increasing technical debt. And then service catalog. ServiceNow has a store, for instance, where you can download applications, install them in your SaaS offering. But again, a lot of these integrations are not going to meet that depth or breadth of integration challenges that we see inside of our customer environments. And this is really where OneFuse comes into play. Within each of these different upstream platforms, we have what we call an upstream provider that can be installed inside of those upstream platforms. This upstream provider is a codeless solution. What that means is you install this base inside of your platform. You then drive the integrations based off of properties for, say, a via realize automation or parameters for CloudBolt cloud management platform. Your infrastructure as code tools can call out leveraging resources and data types inside of our Terraform provider. But those upstream providers then drive and call out to the OneFuse platform where we've defined our integration requirements inside of policy. So the way that we construct integrations inside of OneFuse is with policies where you can granularly define exactly how you want that particular integration to function. Every execution goes through this policy to validate that we're matching the policy. You can actually fail policies if they're not meeting your requirements behind what you've defined inside of the policy. And we'll look at those in just a second here. And then finally, this is all behind a simple unified API. If you have other tools we don't currently support in your environment, maybe Python scripts for provisioning, things like that, you can consume OneFuse as an API abstraction layer so that you only have to learn one API rather than going down the path of learning info blocks and then maybe Active Directory and then directory services. And now you're consuming things in your environment in a non-uniform non-uniform fashion. But yeah, so OneFuse can then assist and go out to trigger those integrations inside of your environment according to what you've defined inside of your policy.